The main goal, it's clear. We need to save our sea. I see it now even more than before. All the people of the Gulf need to really try very hard to keep it clean, not only among themselves on the personal behavior, but among the whole group of the Gulf nations.
For Kuwaiti kayaker and adventurer Bashar Al-Hunaidi, the sea has inspired him to explore and speak out about Arabia's marine environment.
We have lots of issues to deal with. The big problem is the execution of the laws and the tightening of the laws in terms of how they fit to save the environment.
For years, as a kayaker and diver, he has been fascinated by the marine life around him in Kuwait and other parts of the world. But marine life he used to see in large numbers was disappearing at an alarming rate.
We need to be more so we can let everyone know what this treasure has been given to us, what this resource we have that we are destroying, that is so worth protecting and keeping it for the future, because you feel you are connected with creation, you are connected with God, you connect with the cosmic levels. You're not just connected with the water here. It's such a spiritual feeling to find people still living in today's 21st century simply off the sea. And they live from the fishing, and this is their life. And I hope these villages become the people who take the flag of protecting the sea, and not the ones who are destroying it or hurting the sea. So they are the best messengers to protect their own land and their life, and they see the life of the next generation dependent on it.
Troubled by what he was seeing after years of diving, along with the growing amount of news on social media about climate change and global warming, Bashar felt it was time to take a look at the state of Arabia's seas for himself.
About 3 years ago, I started thinking of making a big expedition through the Arabian Gulf and the Sea of Oman to promote, to educate regarding the environmental stresses, the marine environmental stresses in particular, in a method that people would be interested to listen to and find it appealing, to hear what we have to say and to see what we are trying to show them. We are in this great big intertidal zone here. It extends about 30 kilometers maybe or more, or 40, and it's very shallow. The water goes away. We don't see much life in it. However, we saw dolphins yesterday, so we thought of making it in a kayak all the way from Kuwait to here. Kayaks can take us into the heaviest and the roughest seas, and they can take us to the shallowest areas without any problem. We are going slow. Speed is not good. We need to be moving slowly so we can interact and feel and see by our eyes and touch it and smell it. It's not just zooming through a place and saying we've done it. You know, we have to communicate. And again, to communicate, to connect, you have to be there, you have to spend the time. You can't just go through it fast. You have to feel it. It's gonna talk to you. If you have the seed in you of speaking to nature, I think kayak is the way. And not only here, all over the world. The importance of this expedition was personal and patriotic on both senses. Personal because I feel for the Mother Earth again. Personal because I want a secure food and water resources for my children and everybody's children.
One of Bashar's main goals was to involve the environmental authorities from each Arabian Gulf country he visited during this expedition in order to learn about regional conservation efforts.
Every country, every nation is doing its role of damage, and they're also trying to do their role of support and help. I thought I need to be clearly showing what is happening to this. These messages is what we're about. We're not here as scientists. I'm not a marine biologist. I'm an athlete and very dedicated to nature, athletics and sports and being there. And this relation with nature is what brings me to it. And this is this spirit, this philosophy, this is what I like to bring more people. It's a message. This is what I try to bring to this nature. I'm very proud to be an athlete, to be doing something for humanity. It's not just one person that I'm doing this. It's not just for me. I get a lot of reward, but the future reward is for everyone. It's for the whole Gulf. 50 million people in the Gulf. Half of them maybe on this side. They have to think about it.
This is the story of K2O.
So here is the kayak, shipped all the way from UK by air. Thanks to Agility, our sponsor. This is our champion here, Mr. Hudson. Thank you, Hudson. Thank you, Agility. You're welcome. The unpacking of the kayaks from their shell, amazingly handcrafted.
So, the 26,
it's like a piece of furniture.
we're gonna open them.
Okay, that's layer 1.
Day 1 had finally arrived.
You sleep in the tent?
Moving as far north of Kuwait's Bubiyan mainland as allowed by the short Kuwaiti coastline. The K2O team spent the first morning sorting out last-minute details, packing their land support vehicles and kayaks with essentials. Ground support consisted of 2 support 4-wheel drives and a custom-built trailer that would shadow them all the way through to the Oman border. A grueling 2,300 kilometers down the line. The logistics posed by moving across this whole region would present many challenges. The list of sponsors and government endorsements attached to the expedition provided the support this unconventional project needed.
صارنا هني الساعة 10 خذتنا الطريق أخذنا 3 ساعات تقريبا. الطريق هني وايد مو زين. احنا يم مقصر تقريبا.
The plan for the first 3 days was to leave the mainland, crossing the channel towards the island of Warba, navigating a system of mud-flat channels until they reached the island.
جزيرتين وبعدين باكر نكمل طريقنا داخل خور الصبية.
The following morning, they would kayak down through the Khor Al Sabia and eventually reach the Kuwait Bay, where they rendezvous with the media at the Kuwait Radisson Hotel. Although a short leg to start with, it was designed mainly to give them a chance to settle into their kayaks and sort out any kinks. Choosing suitable team members well is a vital part of any expedition. Bashar will kayak with Mansour Al-Safran all the way to the end. For the Kuwait leg, Bashar and Mansour were joined by kayaker Matthew Potts, a UK expert living in Kuwait who would also help with the scientific content of the expedition's social media. Kuwait's Ministry of Interior and Kuwait's Environmental Protection Agency had endorsed Bashar's project and offered full local and international support, reaching out to all the GCC countries asking for support for the expedition. As an unprecedented kayaking attempt, the Kuwait to Oman expedition was going to break new grounds, not just in terms of physical endurance, but also in environmental awareness collaboration between regional states.
بإذن الله نقوم بتدشين حملة الكاياك من دولة الكويت، وبإذن الله سوف تصل هذه الحملة مرورا في المملكة العربية السعودية، ومن ثم مملكة البحرين ودولة قطر الشقيقة والإمارات العربية المتحدة، ومن ثم سلطنة عمان. هذه الرحلة أتت بمبادرة من فريق كاياك فور كويت، وعلى رأسهم الأخ بشار الهنيدي سوف يقوم بهذه الحملة.
This expedition is a first expedition, never done before. and it is a definite record in terms of kayaking. Their interest in this is the environmental part, the physical challenge, the mental challenge, and the accomplishment of doing such a thing, and of being part of the environmental message we are trying to send, and supporting this whole expedition as a team. I met Mansour about 2 years ago, and he is a very good kayaker. He is the Arab champion in a sprint Olympic kayak event. I cannot have someone with me who is not ready for such an expedition. He is a very nice man to be with me and in such a long trip, and very courteous and helpful as well. So he's a definite asset, and he is capable, and that's very important.
Getting into the water here, in Kuwait's northern mudflats, was not an easy start. In order to manage, they drove up to Al Buhaith Coast Guard Station, where a long jetty provided access to the water. Kuwait's Coast Guard were quick to assist the project, with boats and safety support, mirroring the kind of assistance all the Coast Guard authorities from within each country visited provided. Finally underway, Bashar's plan was to kayak across the Bubiyan Channel and through the tidal mudflats until reaching Warba Island to the north. This is normally a military restricted area, requiring special permission. Bubiyan Island covers an area of 863 square kilometers, with a landscape that is almost totally flat and sediment-laden cloudy brown colored water. An important part of the Mesopotamian Delta, this ecosystem of vast flat muddy islands and river-like tidal channels in the northeast corner of the country is sandwiched between Kuwait's mainland, Iraq and Iran. During this leg, the kayakers were trying to find their comfort zone, establishing a pace they would try to sustain over the months ahead. After hours of paddling, the tidal mudflats, Sabga and salt flats seemed endless. These waters and sediments are fed from the Tigris and Euphrates rivers that pour into the Arabian Gulf via the Shatt al-Arab Channel. The result is a wetland wilderness rich in wildlife. Definitely one of the most amazing natural treasures in Kuwait. Despite this, Bubiyan, Warba and the surrounding delta area is one of the least researched wildlife habitats in the northern Gulf, largely due to being next to the notorious tri-border area, for a long time considered a no-man's land. Invertebrates and mudskipper species inhabit the vast mudflats. Mata Mansour stopped to observe one of the 3 species of mudskippers that are found here. Mudskippers are a genus of fish in the goby family. As the name suggests, these fish are amphibious, capable of walking across the mudflats from hole to hole. Males can be quite territorial and aggressive when defending their hole. Picking up their rhythm, Bashar sets a grueling pace. With the water being extremely salty here, the team have already become covered in an irritating layer of salt crystals. Back in the main core, open water and strong currents put the kayakers under pressure as the sun starts to set and it seems inevitable they will reach Warba Island in the dark. Before they can call it a day, they have to land the kayaks above high tide. Exhausted and hungry, the Coast Guard leads them to their base for some welcome dinner.
في نقطة وربة الأمنية وما قصروا معنا طول اليوم وجينا بالآخر شفنا هالوليمة الحلوة هذه اللي احنا ما نحلم فيها بعد يوم كذي. الحين نروح احنا لازم نطبخ أكلنا 5 دقائق ونمشي فهذا حلم الصراحة. مشكورين ما قصرتوا يعطيكم ألف عافية.
The following morning, it was time to head back to the Khor Al Sabiya channel, heading in the direction back towards Kuwait Bay. A long day pushing against strong currents.
اوكي براويكم الطريق اللي سويناه اليوم. طبعا هاي جزيرة بوبيان وربة وهاي منطقة الصبية هني. احنا ابتدينا اليوم من المنطقة هذه هني تقريبا ومشينا المسافة هذه كلها. أراويكم المسافة بالنهاية ايش كثر تطلع.
For hours, the team move under a glaring sun, whilst at the same time they're surprised by how cold the water is here. Compared to other Gulf states, Kuwait has a huge temperature difference between summer and winter seasons. In the summer, highs can reach as much as 50 degrees Celsius, and in the winter, it can drop to lows of between 5 to 8 degrees.
احنا الحين في الموقع هذا هني تقريبا المسافة اللي غطيناها اليوم 20 نوتيكال مايل يعني تقريبا 45 كيلو.
We've had a good day today. Travelled down from the north end of Bubiyan Island and achieved our mission in good time and stood in the light, which is always a bonus. And we're just setting up camp here at just by the Subahai Bridge. We've seen and started the transition from the pristine conditions that we found up in the north of Bubiyan. As you can see around us, this is a perfect example of why we're doing this trip and what we're looking to try and protect from what we've seen, to showing that that's what you can have, to this where, you know, we need to educate people to say, you know, you need to take your rubbish home, you need to bag it, bin it, take it home, and not leave it here for other people to deal with and see.
الموقع هذا هو أحسن مثال اللي يأكد أن الحملة اللي احنا قاعدين نسويها في لها حاجة حتى نوعي الناس وتبطل الناس تتصرف بالطريقة هذه.
Settling down to relax for the first night of the expedition's camping, they discuss conservation and tomorrow's leg before it's time for dinner.
اوكي خلينا نلف هذه كذي. بس حط نقطة معلي.
لا عشان ابي اشرب بالشاي خلص.
لا بس نقطة بس خلي على الكاميرا حتى تبين. لا
يلا
اي كذي اي
بس نقطة واحدة
اي بس نقطة. هاي نقطة بس خلاص بس كافي. المهم هذا الأكل اللي احنا ناكله الحين طول الرحلة إن شاء الله. أكل مجفف بالحرارة الباردة والفاكيوم أصلي ما تحلم فيه.
After reaching Kuwait Bay, the team heads towards the city in order to reach the Palm Beach Hotel in time for an afternoon press conference to signal the true start of the expedition. Along the way, Friends, family, well-wishers and sponsors form a welcome. Bashar's network of connections and friends have spread the word and helped to totally captivate the imagination of Kuwait's people. Little did he know at this stage, but word of this expedition was beginning to do the same in other countries involved. Joined by other kayakers and members of Kuwait's marine community. This expedition mirrors the shared belief that many people of the Gulf think it really is time to create greater awareness about our marine environmental issues. And that is another reason why this expedition has been granted unprecedented support by all the environmental authorities, the Coast Guards and Interior Ministries from within the countries involved.
We were saying because in Bubian the water is so cold, it's freezing.
We've arrived now at the Palms Hotel in Salmiya. It's the end of a long weekend, which has been fantastic and incredibly rewarding.
For agility to take a piece of
It's fantastic that everybody has made the effort to turn up and support this incredibly worthy cause. You know, the environment is an important thing and we need to protect that, and it is so rewarding to see so many people paying an interest and taking part in this event.
Back on land, Bashar is now able to do what he does best, answering questions from journalists, bloggers and the public.
Are there any kayakers waiting to join you at the different stops and destinations?
His enthusiasm ignites an interest that has rarely been discussed over the years at such a public level. For the most part, environmental issues have been a matter of government legislation, and not enough about involving the public in ways to assume responsibilities and to support government efforts where needed. Bashar's goal through this project is to change that.
If you don't love something, you can never take care of it and you can never protect it. The sea is our mother, and there is no person to love more than a mother or a child. So love your mother and love your child, and the answer is there. I think it's very simple. Thank you.
The fundamental message being carried by this expedition to all the people in the Gulf region is a deeply emotional cue to think more about our seas.
نطلع من الخليج العربي إلى خليج عمان ونكمل طريقنا هناك ونقرر هناك وين ننتهي بالرحلة. 10,000 kilometers, the cars will be following us and tracking our track.
The importance of logistics and the ground support provided for the expedition is crucial for their success. This is the first time such a logistical multi-nation mission by sea and over land has ever been undertaken in this region. But even the best laid plans can easily come undone. After already feeling exhausted from the last few days' tiring exertions, the team had become distracted whilst driving towards the Saudi border, veering off-road right at the Kuwait and Saudi border post. Arrangements had to be made for a replacement vehicle. And by the time they were able to reach Bahrain, the weather had closed in with a series of heavy storms that prevented them from doing any serious kayaking around the Bahraini archipelago. After waiting a few days, the sad decision to move on to Qatar was taken with reluctance and a heavy heart.